A first date, always the subject of intense excitement, and July the 1st is turning out to be the first date of the summer. A certain amount of excitement was created 2 weeks ago by Ryanair announcing they were putting 40% of the fleet back in the air on July the 1st. That has intensified because Spain's Prime Minister on Saturday and then the Foreign Minister on Monday both held out the prospect of international tourism returning to Spain, and not just to the first islands to open, Lanzarote, Fuerteventura, then Gran Canaria and Tenerife, but also throughout the Spanish tourism product. The date is going to be July the 1st. We also saw airlines holding out the prospect of a return to schedules from the rest of Europe. But the key from where Ireland is looking is the resolute determination that Ryanair will put 40% of its fleet back in the sky in July.
40% of the programme, that's about 1,000 flights a day.
Followed by 60% in August, followed by 80% in September. What has been the reaction to the €30 fares Ryanair has put on the market? A surge in bookings, according to Michael O'Leary. When we questioned that, he said yes, from a very low base. We now have 5 major tourist markets that are open, but we do have the serious complication of 14-day quarantine on return. That is up for review on June the 18th. Bear in mind that 3 countries, Ireland, Poland and Slovakia, have a very strict policy on re-entry or entry of foreigners. The rest of Europe applies a 14-day quarantine to non-EU arrivals. Ireland's unlocking process is going to wind its way down to August the 10th. That leaves a huge amount of confusion.
There's this 20 kilometre limit, there's no point in airlines advertising airfares to Europe from 1st of July if we can't go beyond 20 kilometres of our home. So on the radio, all the talk is Spain's opening up in July. Where are we going on our summer holidays? Will you go? Won't you go? That whole debate. So, as an industry, I think we need to get that debate out there and get people talking about holidays. And again, if the price level comes in right, and we can get a bit of media exposure out there, I think it'd be a good thing, and we might be able to resurrect something on the latter end of the year.
People who have holidays booked are clinging on to the fact that they might get away. But as for new bookings, no sign of that yet.
Princess has closed down its cruise programme for the entire year, and the other cruise companies have been pushing back the dates. What is different about the cruise industry is that they're putting very attractive rebook and voucher incentives in place.
Some of the cruise companies have handled it very well, others haven't. The communication has been good in terms of, it's been clear the sailings are cancelled up to X date. So you can run your reports and you know what ships are sailing and what ships aren't. However, again, the future cruise certificates and the incentives that have been offered people to rebook, I've been very, very happy with those.
What the travel agents of Ireland are looking for is a clear message. What can they sell? What are the terms and conditions, and what are the legalities?
What needs to happen next for the travel industry is that we all align. We're in partnership and we need to be clear with each other about what happens next. Not just travel agents and tour operators, but airlines, the DFA, airports, tourist boards. We all need to work on this together and perhaps have a facility like the inbound tourism task force.
The terms and conditions of the 6-month credit note or voucher are still being ironed out. That will leave a large number of refunds being demanded. The big question is, will the suppliers have refunded the travel agents in advance of this?
Unfortunately, as travel agents, we're basically caught in the crossfire. So even if we knew when the money was coming in, we'd be able to put the client's minds at ease and let them know that. It's like if you're crossing the road and you can see that little man binging and it's 20 seconds, you're going to wait. If you're there, you're more likely to jaywalk if that little man isn't flashing, telling you how long. And that's basically the way I see it at the moment.
Having the vouchers, we live on an island, people are used to travelling, are going to get back travelling. And, we got a voucher from the airline for our holiday. I'm quite confident we'll be using it, and I think an awful lot of people are very receptive to that. It's the long haul, it's the USA, it's the Australia.
The airlines need to be supported, and bear in mind, majority of all our bookings would have an airline component in it. And with that situation, we're going to be fighting to get the refund back from the customers. And if they're able to give it to 12 months, we should be able to do the same.
It is what it is. A lot of hard work has been done to get us to this point, not least by the ITAA and others. But it is what it is. We need to crack on. We need to get the refund credit note template so that we can get them issued for customers. However, I do feel that airlines and others who have promised vouchers for customers need to start catching up on their backlog now.
We have to go in at September, October and ask for an extension. Because if a consumer gets the voucher now for 6 months and wants the money in 6 months' time, it's going to hit travel agents when they're traditionally low on having cash in bank accounts.
Well, the 6 months certainly needs to move further. I can't refund somebody, a client who's waiting on money from Aer Lingus or Ryanair. I can't refund them. Emirates flight tickets, money's going to be tied up for more than a year. So that puts us in a very precarious position, because we have clients now who have vouchers that can convert into money, but I don't know when I'm going to see that. So if I'm put in a situation where I have to offer that refund, that's not workable.
It's a help if the airlines start refunding. Like Aer Lingus and Ryanair are the main ones. So if Aer Lingus and Ryanair start refunding within the 6 months, that's okay. But I really think they're playing a cat and mouse game. And if it doesn't happen within the 6 months, we're now back to the same scenario where we have people coming back for refunds in 6 months' time. If we haven't received them, then we're going to have to push it out again. So it has to be a 12 months.
For definite, that has to go to 12. You know, really what we're saying at 6 months is that you have to plan your holidays, your 2021 holidays in 2020. For some people, that's not practical.
We need to all work together on this, and I do believe that there is some light at the end of the tunnel there.
It'd be great if it was pushed out to 12, because you take 6 months' time, it's going to be December, which is going to be Christmas. 6 months is not really a long time, you know, for us to try and, for all agents, try and get back up on our feet. And, you know, it could be September, October before we start taking any kind of serious money back into the business. And then if you start handing some of that back out 2 months later at a time of the year which is probably one of your most vulnerable times of the year in terms of business.
Lots of other debate about flying. The middle seat debate seems to have passed. The European Air Safety Association says social distancing is impossible on aircraft. No need for passengers to leave the middle seat open, but also they need to wear masks. And they've demanded social distancing when people are boarding, or what the industry calls deplaning. No idea how the airports are going to work. Temperature checks, one-way systems, social distancing. But it does look like we will have a period in July when the number of flights through Dublin Airport is going to increase without the number of passengers increasing in the same proportion. Airlines like Lufthansa, United, American, Finnair, Air Canada, all announcing dates of return, and the likelihood that Turkish, Etihad and Emirates will all return in that first week in July. It means that we will have all the choice, probably without the numbers to fill the aircraft, but we will be feeling our way back towards normality as far as international travel is concerned. A couple of things to be ironed out if there's going to be a coherent and coordinated path ahead. One of them is the 14-day quarantine up for review in Dublin on June the 18th. What's going to happen with that?
The 2-week quarantine is a joke.
I'd like to see cohesion between all the countries so that we have a clear view on whether or not people have to quarantine here and or quarantine abroad. So
and how much of the EU Commission's plan for a return to normal international tourism will be implemented by the Member States, or will we have a situation of Member States going their own way? What's required? It's a 4-page document, it's filled out on board, handed over on arrival. Crucial is the last box. You tick that if you're going to Belfast or you're taking an onward flight from Dublin to somewhere else. Somebody cleverly called this the Dublin Dodge, which can be used by people wishing to avoid UK quarantine. A lot of questions still remain. Some of them will be answered by June the 18th. A lot more will be answered by July the 1st. But the infrastructure of international tourism should be up and running by mid-July, It could be September before numbers of any significance return to the air, and we all need nothing serious to go wrong along the way. Here's hoping.
Well, I think you'd be in agreement with me, Eoghan. We need the barbers to open up again.